KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Federal prosecutors charged Mansouri Menuchekri with sending $70,000 to aid ISIS. Arrested Wednesday, he also had an expired visa, jihadist videos, and weapons. His lawyer claims he was supporting orphans and widows. Texas-based Ocean Infinity is resuming the search for Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, which disappeared in 2014, with 239 people on board. The Malaysian government approved the search, focusing on an area previously overlooked. President Trump announced plans to cut 65% of Environmental Protection Agency staff, resulting in over 10,000 job losses. EPA union officials warned this would be disastrous, reducing the agency's ability to respond to natural disasters. And Warner Brothers Discovery will keep sports and news content on Max at no extra cost for standard and premium subscribers. However, basic with ads tier subscribers will lose access to BR Sports and CNN starting March 30th. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, Cal Hope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers snapped a 3-game losing streak with a 122-117 win at Chicago. James Harden dropped 30 points. He had 7 3-pointers. The Clippers had a good shooting night from three-point range. They shot 51%. Amir Coffey had 20 points off the bench. The Clippers and Lakers meet up Friday night at Crypto.com. The Lakers are in action tonight against Minnesota. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked number 2 in the country, had an easy time at Wisconsin last night. UCLA beat Wisconsin by 30, 91-61. Lauren Betts led the Bruins with 26 points and 10 rebounds. She was almost perfect from the floor, making 11 of 12 shots. The Bruins moved into a first-place tie in the Big Ten Conference with 4th-ranked USC. The win last night sets up Saturday's showdown between UCLA and USC, a game that will decide the Big Ten regular season title. 6 p.m. tip-off at Pauley Pavilion. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Who cares about the black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Time Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every day, giving thanksgiving praises and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. Let's go. We got a lot to do as usual. Got a lot to talk about. So the way we do things around here on a Thursday, which I believe it is a Thursday, hour one, we look local, what's going on the left coast side of town. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. In the third hour, we do a deep dive on a hot topic or a person of interest. Today, hour three will bring us a conversation about what's happening with immigration, particularly Black immigrants, even more specifically Haitians. Gerline Joseph of Haitian Bridge Alliance will join me. Hour two, it's you, me, and the telephone. Of course, you're welcome to call every hour, but we are going to do a deep dive into what is actually happening right now in this country and around the world. And then right now, I am pleased to welcome into the studio, actually first time he's been in with me, an activist who's known around and about the town, community organizer, father, and he calls himself a servant of the people. He's an organizer with Black Lives Matter LA and a member of the police accountability team. Jason Reedy, welcome.
Thank you. I'm blessed to be on this morning. Thank you for inviting me on again. And I also note that I'm also an organizer with People's City Council.
I should have noted that for sure.
No worries.
Explain what that is, by the way.
Yeah, so People's City Council is an organization that started in April 2020. It was a group of organizations, members of different organizations that came together and started staging car protests outside of Mayor Garcetti's house in response to canceling the rent at a time when the pandemic was still very much unknown what was going on. And so folks banded together and created this organization called People's City Council. I joined in April of 2022. But yeah, we do direct action. We run a community space called the Robinson Space. And we also do political education. And so those are some of the things that we are involved with.
Yeah, political education.
Yes.
Where do you start right now? And I mean, I know typically in this hour, I like to focus on what's going on locally, right? But it's all intersecting right now, even more than usual. I know the feds always affect, the state always affects the local, but it seems even more enmeshed right now at this moment. Where do you start with political education? I am feeling like there are a lot of progressive folks that don't fully understand how the levers of government work, how to move the ball on certain issues.
Yeah, it's a big moment right now. And I think for us locally, what we're really keeping our eyes on right now is the budget that's going to be coming up for the city of Los Angeles. And so those budget negotiations are in process right now. A lot of different departments have already put in their budget recommendations or requests to Mayor Bass. And so for us right now, that's what we are hoping to focus on. I know Black Lives Matter is working on people's budget and trying to get people to take the survey. But yeah, it's also a moment where we're seeing the mask off of white supremacy, right, with Donald Trump. And we're seeing a lot of folks stepping up in this moment wanting to learn more about how to protect their neighbors from ICE and things of that nature. And so, but for us locally here, we are like looking at this budget. We know with the fires that there was a lot of information out there around cuts around the LAFD and also how the giving so much money to the LAPD is affecting so many of our other departments and programs here in Los Angeles. And so we also want to inform people like why do we give police so much money? And why does our mayor lie constantly about how she didn't cut the fire department's budget?
Well, I mean, we can get into that a little bit more because I mean, one of the bones that I have to pick with progressives and specifically the People's City Council is the way you guys constantly attack our mayor.
Yeah.
Constantly attack our mayor. And there's no recognition of anything positive that she does or the leadership that she provides. And it seems, and I see it, not just People's City Council, I see it from other progressives, but especially you guys, because it seems to be particularly vituperative.
Okay.
And I feel like we're in a time where it's just hard to see progressive organizations that seem to be doing good work who feel like it's their mission to constantly attack black women, whether it be Mayor Bass or Kamala Harris.
Yeah, and so I don't think it's necessarily that they're black women. It's what they represent, right?
But they are black women.
They absolutely, yeah. But we're not critiquing them because they are black women.
But you're not taking into consideration that they are. And I'm not saying they should have DEI or a special lane, but I think there is a respect factor, especially when you've got a mayor who's being attacked, threatened, and literally threatened by the right.
Absolutely. I think we can recognize that a lot of the attacks that Mayor Bass has been encountering over the last month or so has been right-wing, white supremacist, and very much sexist.
And even prior to that, I mean, you had the whole police union spending $4 million for her not to get elected.
But guess what? Who's defending her right now in the midst of all these things?
Well,
and that's something that I really want to talk.
How deep does that cut?
Well, I mean, let's talk about how the fact that in 2013, the LAPPL came out in support of Wendy Gruhl and spent millions of dollars against
Los Angeles Police Protective
I'm sorry,
League.
yes.
Yeah.
Which is the quote-unquote union that's supposed to represent the rank and file of the LAPD. They came out against Eric Garcetti in 2013, spent $2.3 million. But guess what? In the next election cycle, they were all behind him. It's because...
Well, she lost, right?
Well, she lost, yes.
Just for the record, if you just
yes.
tuning in
yes.
to Boston politics.
With Karen Bass, she gifted them, and it's something that you've covered here on this program, is she gifted them $1 billion contract over a 4-year, which included raises, ridiculous raises, and all sorts of other incentives, including hiring bonuses and things of that nature. And so she's the favorite person of LAPPL right now, and that's why they've gone so hard for her since the fires broke out.
Explain to me why you think they've gone so hard.
Because it's ridiculous to me that an organization that we can both agree is anti-black, very much in nature, has come out to support a black woman mayor.
But what does that support look like to you?
That support looks like publicly standing behind her, whether it be in different appearances and things of that nature. But it also comes out in support when it comes to the media. We understand that the LAPD has a huge propaganda arm. And
we know that.
Yes, very much helped by the media.
We're all familiar with that.
And so they work with those vessels to help push out propaganda around Karen Bass.
It's interesting that if that is in fact true, they seem to be doing not a good job compared to other things that they support.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just look at the attacks, Monica Rodriguez, who a city council person who is a Republican for all intents and purposes, even though she doesn't say that as far as I know, who wants to rehire the fire chief or unfire the fire chief. You've attacking the mayor in the press. You've got Tracy Park yesterday on CBS, who is also a Republican, attacking the mayor in the press and really doing the, shake my head, this black person can't handle this job.
Yeah.
The fire chief and attacking the mayor on CNN, and yet
attacking the mayor, stating facts.
Both.
Okay.
And a lot of those are not facts. A lot of them are distorted. I think it's really interesting the way the right, I don't know if you've been following what Elon Musk has to say about our mayor, and the fire chief. They hated the fire chief, and then as soon as she attacked the mayor, she was the hero.
Absolutely.
And truth teller.
Yeah, but again, they don't come from. We come from, at least within People's City Council, myself personally, it's principled critique, and I believe that Mayor Bass is. We've been critiquing Mayor Bass from the beginning, and
I know.
She's aligned, but she aligned herself with people like Tracy Park and Steve Soboroff and all these other white people that she thought would have her back when things got tough, and they didn't, and they don't. Right?
Soboroff is another example. He was in a meeting complaining about the mayor. Explain to me when you say principled critique. What is your criteria?
Well, so we're critiquing again Karen Bass for her support of the police, her complete support of the police, right? It's very rare to hear Karen Bass come out and critique the LAPD. And we also are critiquing her on her homelessness around Inside Safe and what a failure that program is.
Right, but you said principled critique. So it sounds like this is a philosophy that you have.
Yes,
yet I hear you guys on social media going, she's a liar, she's a liar, she's a liar. And I don't know how, but that's name calling. So I don't call that principled critique. To me, a principled critique would be, Dominique DiPrima says like too much. That's specific. It's not Dominique DiPrima sucks as a speaker. It's specific.
Yeah, but we're not just saying she's a liar, and this is why, and we explain why. And I'm more than happy to go into you about Karen Bass's lies over the last 2 years, and specifically over the last couple months. But yeah, we don't look at whether they're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. We don't care if they're a woman, man, non-binary.
So you're colorblind.
No, we're not colorblind.
Sounds like it. We're
not colorblind, but we take out all of those different.
To me, there can be no intellectually honest political critique that doesn't take a race and gender into account in the way that you approach something. So in what way should we differ in how we critique black women? If she's giving, don't attack them constantly. Lay out your critique of the policy based on facts without finger pointing and name calling.
Which we absolutely do. And I don't think calling someone a liar is quote unquote name calling. They're a liar. If they're a liar, they're a liar. It doesn't matter. Name calling. It doesn't matter.
You wouldn't do it to the big homie.
I would. That's the thing, though. You don't know me. I would happily do it to the big homie.
And you would know that you were name calling.
I'm not. If they're lying, and they're lying about, and we got to talk about like the degree of lies. When you're at the top of the city, you're the city's most important official.
No doubt.
And you lie. That has effects. That reverberates across the political spectrum, right? When you lie, when you talk about how you didn't cut the fire department's budget, when everyone knows that you cut the operational budget by 17.6 million.
I mean, it depends how you crunch the numbers, right? How you analyze the numbers.
So let's crunch the numbers then, because she allocated, right? She talks about this contract that she had with the union, right, where they allocated that money. Do you know that money still hasn't been transferred to the fire department?
Does that mean that it's not going to be?
No, but I'm saying, she's using that as like this is the way that we increase the fire budget. When she cut the operational budget, she cut the mechanics.
But here's the thing, you are not including that. So is that more honest?
I'm not including that because it hasn't been allocated to their budget. In fact, money from that account right now, $35 million of that money has been transferred to cover our liability payouts, our record liability payouts, $240 million in the last fiscal year, which she only budgeted $87 million for this last fiscal year. You're talking
about for mostly police.
Which is mostly police, police that she supports wholeheartedly.
Yeah, well, okay, what are you going to do if you're the mayor?
What am I going to do?
F the police, especially as a black woman, when you know they spent $4 million. You don't have to say
F the police, but
I think that's a pretty naive view.
I'm not saying she has to say F the police, but it would be nice to say, hey, we don't have to cut street services. We don't have to cut the fire department. We don't have to make all these different cuts, aging and everything else, to make way for, again, historic amounts of money going to LAPD.
Jason Reedy is my guest. We will continue this conversation. You're welcome in. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580 is the number, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la. Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel. Because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
I have a dream today.
From the inventors who transformed our world to the activists who changed our nation, their stories shaped America. This February, KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates Black History Month with powerful conversations, untold stories, and voices that need to be heard. Join us all month long for special programming that honors the past while inspiring our future. Black History Month on KBLA Talk 1580. Our history, our voices, our time.
Gain Super Flings are here to take your laundry to the next level.
Talking about Gain Super Flings. Super
Super-sized laundry packs. These things are huge. Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings laundry packs have 4 times the Oxy cleaning power and 3 times the Febreze freshness versus Gain Original Liquid.
Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings for next level laundry.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station,
and your favorite morning show host.
Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we're talking with Jason Reedy, People's City Council, and also Black Lives Matter LA. And we're talking about city politics, really.
Yes.
Something that I think is easy to tune out. You have, who do you support? I know that the People's City Council supported Gina Viola, right, for mayor.
Yep. In the primary, we supported her, and then when it went to the general, we didn't support either candidate.
And right now, it seems like there is a de facto campaign going on. Clearly, we know that there's a recall afoot, and there is, you see Rick Caruso standing up a foundation budget, a foundation very active in the press around the fires. I don't know if you saw the video of Mel Gibson out in
I have not.
Altadena yesterday.
Keep him away.
Well, he's there and he's attacking the mayor and supporting your friend. And so, I mean,
My
I know.
friend?
I didn't mean
sorry,
your personal friend. I mean, you know.
Because I'm going to say, I was one of the most outspoken people against Rick Caruso. In fact, I interrupted many of his events and fundraisers. But anyways, yes.
I mean, he is a billionaire.
He is.
And I feel like the billionaires are on the move right now.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when the LA Times decided not to endorse Kamala Harris. And I know you didn't support her either, but that's not the point. The point is my response was the billionaires had a meeting.
Sure.
And it's playing out that way now. I don't know if you saw yesterday, Jeff Bezos said that their editorial pages will no longer tolerate any viewpoints that oppose his business interests. From now on, it's going hard for his so-called values.
Yeah.
He says, in the past, we expected our editorial pages to have a well-rounded view, but that's the job of social media now. So newspapers can just go hard for their point of view.
I mean, they've been doing that, but not as explicitly, right?
Yeah, I think that's true to a point. But at least you would have an op-ed from someone like you or Dr. Melina Abdullah or Mark Ridley Thomas or, somebody.
Yeah.
And now now our LA Times is going to have supposedly going to have a bias-o-meter. And even the conversation we're having about, what you call principal critiques. We're in a period of time where people really have a hard time sorting out the facts from the lies. I think all politicians, just like most activists, but even more so with politicians, frame and color the way they present things to their advantage.
Sure.
So what is your responsibility as a political educator in that environment?
It's to wade through all the lies and present the facts as is. I mean, again, if we're talking about the police budget, a lot of times it's reported as only being $2.1 billion. But in reality, it's $3.2 billion when you factor in the salaries and everything else that goes into it. And so that's like one way that I feel like politicians will report and say, well, the budget's only $2.1 million. When they say $3.2 billion, they're wrong. And so, yeah, I think we all have responsibility to educate our neighbors and educate our communities. And so, yeah, we critique across the spectrum. We're not just critiquing Karen Bass.
Is that both sidesing?
Is it both sidesing in what way?
Well, you say it's we critique across the spectrum.
Yeah. So, like, I had critique when, for example, we were just talking about when Karen Bass was running for mayor. We were putting out just as much critique about Rick Caruso than we were Karen Bass.
That's what I mean, both sidesing, just as much.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. I didn't know if you were both sidesing like it was some type of other situation. Okay. So essentially, yeah. So we were critiquing both of those candidates because they, to us, represented the same thing. They represented an increase in wanting to push out more money into police and to criminalize the unhoused, which Karen Bass has been doing, whether or not she says explicitly is saying it or not. And so...
We'll agree to disagree on that. But I have a philosophical question about that.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, and we just came through this with this election.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that I know, in particular, well, let me not just say people that I know, progressives that I know, both we're doing that, what I call both sidesing. Well, they're both corporate candidates, blah, 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 blah. And it's not the same. To me, that means you have the luxury to ignore the differences.
I don't think as a black man, and as a black woman, and as black people, we have the luxury of that. But I think it's also understanding that the black misleadership class that we have people in office who I don't think always look out for our best interests and look out for their own personal interests. And so I think as a black community, we are more forgiving than other communities. And rightfully so. And we also are very loyal. We're very loyal, as we saw with Kamala Harris and the support, particularly of black women. And so, but I do believe that a lot of the black faces we see in high places aren't looking out for our best interests. And we should be actively critiquing. They don't get enough critique from black media, from black organizers. I mean, Karen Bass rarely got critiqued by black organizers and organizations in her first 2 years.
Well, I mean, I think that a fair critique, again, without attacking a person's character or piling on in a way that assists, aids, and abets the people that definitely, I mean, I think what you said about Harris is a perfect example. Everyone's running around saying they're the same. Well, we look at the plan for Gaza right now, Trump Gaza. I don't know if you saw that video,
Sure.
The AI video. That is not the same at all.
But who was providing the weapons to flatten out Gaza?
I mean, you're not going to get that argument against.
Yeah.
That
but
argument
I'm saying,
from me.
But
is there no difference? Yes, there is a difference.
Yes, there is a difference because Trump just doesn't care. He doesn't have a filter.
Because
he's putting out
endorsing complete ethnic cleansing,
as if Kamala Harris wasn't.
Well, she did,
and Joe Biden.
Well, I'm not going to talk about. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Joe Biden, but the conversation is about both sidesing and saying, well, they're both the same, Democratic and Republican. Yeah, you can make that argument. Certainly, they're both corporate. But when it comes to policies, they're not the same. And I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is perfect and, she's my political role model. Mm-hmm. But when you look at Gaza, she did say sovereignty, right? Safety, sovereignty, security.
What sovereignty and safety was there? Again, when she was running, she had...
I understand that, but I'm just saying when she's not going to throw Biden under the bus. That's not going to happen. I think that they made a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to argue with that with you. I'm not really into spending a lot of time on the past because I think the future is pretty urgent right now. But I do think this idea that they're exactly the same is wrong. They're both corporate. Yes. Do they both do things that I absolutely don't agree with? Yes. Would Kamala Harris be trying take Gaza and make it into her part of her real estate portfolio? No, I believe
she wouldn't. But she'd be giving it off to other people.
I believe her policies would differ from the current administration in ways that would be beneficial for the Palestinian people.
Democrats are better at concealing their intentions than Republicans. I think we can agree on that part, and I think that they do the same types of things, including the fact that we're here talking about deportations. I know in the later hours you're going to talk about ICE under Biden. In his last year of office, 57,000 people were being deported every month. In this first month that Trump's been in office, it's 37,000, right?
Yeah, but that's just because they're not competent. But I get your point. I mean, a lot of people were deported under Obama. I think he was the deportation king, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, but they just do a better job of concealing it.
Well, I don't know if that's a great example. I got to go into news, traffic, and sports here, but we'll continue on the other side because Democrats were clearly veering right on immigration, because they thought it was a winning campaign strategy. Clearly, it's not. But I think there are other ways in terms of whether or not people get fed, whether or not they get medicine, that are distinctly different between the two parties. I know you got a lot to say. We'll get to that when we come forward on KB. That's why you're here. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Federal prosecutors charged Mansouri Menuchekri with sending $70,000 to aid ISIS. Arrested Wednesday, he also had an expired visa, jihadist videos, and weapons. His lawyer claims he was supporting orphans and widows. Texas-based Ocean Infinity is resuming the search for Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, which disappeared in 2014, with 239 people on board. The Malaysian government approved the search, focusing on an area previously overlooked. President Trump announced plans to cut 65% of Environmental Protection Agency staff, resulting in over 10,000 job losses. EPA union officials warned this would be disastrous, reducing the agency's ability to respond to natural disasters. And Warner Brothers Discovery will keep sports and news content on Max at no extra cost for standard and premium subscribers. However, basic with ads tier subscribers will lose access to BR Sports and CNN starting March 30th. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, Cal Hope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers snapped a 3-game losing streak with a 122-117 win at Chicago. James Harden dropped 30 points. He had 7 3-pointers. The Clippers had a good shooting night from 3-point range. They shot 51%. Amir Coffey had 20 points off the bench. The Clippers and Lakers meet up Friday night at Crypto.com. The Lakers are in action tonight against Minnesota. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked number 2 in the country, had an easy time at Wisconsin last night. UCLA beat Wisconsin by 30, 91-61. Lauren Betts led the Bruins with 26 points and 10 rebounds. She was almost perfect from the floor, making 11 of 12 shots. The Bruins moved into a first-place tie in the Big Ten Conference with 4th-ranked USC. The win last night sets up Saturday's showdown between UCLA and USC, a game that will decide the Big Ten regular season title. 6 p.m. tip-off at Pauley Pavilion. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on. Pick up the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance, but Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with Jason Reedy, organizer with the Black Lives Matter LA configuration of BLM Grassroots, and also the People's City Council. And you guys have a protest coming up.
Yeah, actually, we would love for people to come out to support USC students. They have a Tear the Walls Down, Defend Our Community protest today at USC Village, Jefferson and McClintock entrance at 11:30. It's a march and rally to get cops off campus, ICE out of LA, and the IOF out of Palestine. And so we encourage folks to come out and show support for our students.
You've been working a lot with students. Tell me what you've been seeing as far as, I feel like the student protests against what's happening in Gaza were all in the news during the election cycle, and they've kind of fallen out because of the constant barrage of stuff coming out of Washington.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen students last spring, in particular, the student intifada, really show us the way forward and put pressure on universities to disclose and divest from war companies. And so I haven't done too much work. I've only been out to support the students who are organizing. They themselves have been doing a wonderful job of organizing at UCLA, at USC, Cal State, LA, to name a few. But the student intifada still lives on. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of repression on campus, and we kind of saw that turn right very early on when the encampments started popping up. For example, at USC, if we want to talk about Errol Southers, the appointed
police commissioner,
president of the police commission that Karen Bass appointed, who, might I add, founded a police activities league program in Santa Monica that led to the molestation of over 200 children.
What's the program you're referring to?
It's called the PAL program. It's Police Activities League program.
PAL is everywhere, though. He didn't create that.
He founded the one in Santa Monica.
You're talking about. Okay,
he founded the chapter in Santa Monica that led to the molestation of over 200 children. He also lied when he was Obama's TSA nominee. Lied to Congress about how he was looking up his wife, his ex-wife at the time, her personal details to stalk her. But anyways, he was leading the repression on USC's campus.
I mean, I can't talk about that because I'm not familiar with that story, but I know that he's an expert in
quote unquote counterterrorism trained by the IOF and things of that nature.
I know that.
I
In any case,
share that information with you later. But anyways, he led the repression on the USC's campus against students. Was one of the deciding factors in canceling Asna Tabatum, her.
The speaker.
Yes, the speaker.
The graduation
speaker.
Or valedictorian, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those organizations on campus are still organizing. They still want the universities to disclose and divest. I think whether you are pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, in the middle, wherever you are on that spectrum, I think we can all agree that universities, their funding, or not funding, but the funds that they currently have should not be going towards war profiteering.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what. But the thing that has bothered me the most is the fact that students have been protesting since there have been students.
Absolutely,
and it seems like the targeting and repression is ramped up much more than it has been historically. So I guess the question was whether you see what I've seen with the students I've talked to is a determination as opposed to a sort of backing down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I believe that they still see the university as a site of resistance, as it's also a site of repression, unfortunately, but it's a site of resistance, and it's one where it was beautiful to be on campus during the encampments and see the building of community, the amount of education that was just not only around Palestine but around police, and why do we need police on campus and things of that nature. And so really still hoping that people come out and support our students who are who face the fact that they might not get a degree at the end.
Right, academic repercussions and then career repercussions,
legal repercussions.
Seems really unfair to me and terrible. What drew you into activism?
So that's a great question. So I came into the movement in May of 2020. So
really,
it was I mean, before I was involved in food justice, and so I definitely had a lens into, because a lot of people within the food justice movement say, well, it's all related, even though they don't act like that. But I mean, I had been familiar, when I was 14, 15 years old, I had converted to Islam, read Malcolm X's autobiography. I'm no longer a member of the Islamic faith, no diss. But so I was definitely politically, as Baba Akili would say, I was awake, but I hadn't gotten up. Hadn't gotten up out of bed yet. And so, but yeah, I became involved as an organizer activist in 2020. And so that's
and how do you see your ultimate, what does victory look like? What does progress look like to you?
The end of U.S. empire. What does progress look like? I mean, obviously,
victory. So it was a two-part question. You said the end of U.S. empire. What does that mean?
Revolution in this country.
To produce what?
To produce what would hope to be a society that benefits the masses, that where people at the bottom no longer have to die as a result of not having health care, die in our streets. The fact that we have 5 to 6 people dying in our streets, that's
terrible.
It's terrible. And even though Los Angeles is supposed to be this bastion of democracy and freedom.
Well, it's also a very wealthy place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I'm from the Bay Area, and when I moved here, I was just amazed at how you could see the Rolls Royces and stuff rolling right next to the people with nothing. It's just something I wasn't used to.
Yeah. And so, a rejection of this system wholeheartedly.
So in favor of what? I mean, I think we can all say, well, we want everybody to eat. We want everybody to thrive.
I think that's
everyone should have health care.
The base level, right?
Yeah.
I think if we can get to that, and it's not, I think it's like also like with around abolitionists, they always get asked this question, well, what do you want in its place?
And clearly you're an abolitionist.
Yes. And it's like, it's not my decision to make. I can have my opinions on it, but
right.
it's a decision we have to make as a community. And that's the thing. A lot of us in our community think that not as much money should be going towards the police, for example.
Right.
We can agree on that. So why is it that our politicians, including our black politicians, Marquise Harris Dawson, Curran Price, Heather Hutt, why are we pushing? Why are they always pushing for money to go into the hands of police? If our communities aren't necessarily behind that concept, or
is that a fair assessment? I mean, what would you do if you were on the city council?
First thing I would do is no more 4118. We're not going to push
anti-camping ordinance,
yes,
as they call it.
Yes, no more 4118.
So then, what does that mean? Does that mean unhoused people everywhere? Does it mean?
Well, I mean,
does it mean unhoused people outside of schools, for example?
They've already established so many different 4118 zones, so I would immediately want.
But if you abolish it, all those go away, right? And I'm not making a judgment. I'm just asking, how do you handle it?
Because, I mean, how you handle it is we take a concrete look and actually put people into housing with actual wraparound services. I think that's the first step. We're not banning.
That goes to the things we can all agree on that are easier said than done category, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But the fact that, like, for example, our budget right now for houselessness is $1.3 billion, but the city controller found in November that we only spent $800 million of those dollars. Why is another $500 million just sitting there?
What do you say?
Because Karen Bass doesn't know what she's doing.
Or maybe because you can't just magically, make housing appear everywhere where you need it.
But that's what she's been pushing out in the press around Inside Safe. Is that's what she's.
That's the goal, yeah. So politicians have been saying they're doing it for decades, and she's the first one to see a decrease at all. So it's obviously not that easy to solve, or Garcetti would have fixed it. Or
yeah. No, I agree. It's not an easy problem to solve.
And I think, and to me, this is an exact example of what you're talking about. You're like, oh, the mayor doesn't know what she's doing because she hasn't fixed a problem that no politician has fixed in the past 25 years, and which is also the responsibility of the county and the state, and which is the largest such problem in the nation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so therefore she's a failure. So,
no, I think she's a failure for a wide variety of reasons, right?
Clearly.
But this is one. So, like, has she ever answered why there's $500 million of that budget just sitting there unspent?
I'm not aware of that, but you're not addressing my point.
Which is that it's not
let's
only,
take that $500 million and boom, you can.
Which is not only just
magically builds everywhere. No, I mean LA. We got a lot of issues.
I understand.
Why isn't there more unhoused persons, permanent supportive housing in certain neighborhoods? Like,
great question. We should ask Karen Bass.
Really? So it's not Tracy Park. It's not the responsibility
that she's quote unquote locked arms with. In fact,
we just blame the black woman. We don't spread the love around. Okay.
No, Tracy Park.
But I haven't heard you say one thing about Tracy Park or anybody else in this whole conversation.
Because I feel like on this network and on your show at times you aren't as critical of black politicians as you should be.
Okay, so you think it's our job, and you feel like, I think we do a good job, but that's a fair critique. So you think that's our job, to pile on along with the mainstream media. The LA Times, ever since I got to LA, has been unfair, in my opinion, to black and Latino politicians that are progressive. Mm-hmm. They have been unfair. They scrutinize them more than anybody else. They attack them more than anybody else.
And I'm not disagreeing with you.
But you're happy to pile on with them.
Well, again, the critique that I'm providing of them is valid. Is it not valid? Should we not call out the fact that Heather Hutt has never voted against police money? Should we not call out the fact that Marquise?
But do you highlight the many good things that Heather Hutt does, which there are quite a few, along with Harris Dawson, along with the mayor? I mean, you can say that our station doesn't critique black politicians enough.
I didn't say they didn't. Oh, yes. Enough. Yes.
Enough.
Uh-huh.
And I'll say to you that all you do is critique them. You don't provide any context about what they are doing. And this idea that, well, I critique Rick Caruso just as much as I critique Karen Bass is an analysis that's, it's very mainstream, and it's taking the position that, well, we're objective. Nobody's objective.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I mean, nobody is truly objective.
No, you can only see the world through your eyes. Mm-hmm. So you can be fair, but probably not objective. You can strive to be fair, but probably not objective. So if you tell me I'm critiquing Rick Caruso just as much as Karen Bass, is that DEI for conservatives?
Is that I don't believe in. I think DEI is liberal counterinsurgency anyway. But I think we get caught up again.
What does that mean?
Well, like
that's a perfect example though of this sort of, progressive talking points that work on my nerves. You can say, and I love to have you explain what you mean by that, but yet thousands and thousands of black people are losing their jobs right now because they're categorized as DEI, but it's liberal insurgency. What does that mean?
It's buying into a system that doesn't care about us. It's the same reason why they have reforms. Reforms only elongate and provide life for what is a dying system. These systems ultimately don't care about us. Whether or not we had a black woman as president, a black woman as mayor, at the end of the day, black people are still at the bottom and we're still suffering. And so, when you're talking about the critique of these other individuals, whether it be Tracy Parker, these are people that Heather Hutt, Marquise Harris Dawson, Curran Price, Karen Bass have stood with and stand with
They're
today.
their colleagues. Yeah, they're their colleagues.
No, but beyond that, I mean, can we talk about like the fact that Heather Hutt on her float, the MLK at the MLK parade, had Heidi Feldstein Soto, someone who criminalizes black people on the regular.
Okay, we'll go a little deep. You got too many loose ends hanging out here that we said we were going to follow up, but we'll continue with Jason Reedy when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help. Life blooms in beautiful ways. The Afia Center invites you to celebrate At the End with Red Gala, honoring the strength and resilience of black women living with HIV. Join us for an evening of empowerment as we launch the Barbara Cambridge Scholarship and kick off Herstory Month with our theme, Life in Full Bloom. Your support helps create vital HIV programming and builds a future where every voice is heard and every story matters. The End with Red Gala, because every flower deserves to bloom. To learn more and to donate, visit theafiacenter.org.
I have a dream today.
The road to freedom wasn't paved with just big moments. It was built day to day, step by step, voice by voice. This February, experience Black History Month through the stories that shape Los Angeles and beyond. KBLA Talk 1580, where Black history lives.
Kadeen and Deval Ellis for P&G Good Every Day.
Babe, guess what? We can save big on all our favorite P&G brands like Tide, Cascade, and Febreze. Plus, support great causes every day.
Wait, hold up. You telling me we can save money and feel good about it? How?
Well, remember how Granny and Big Mama used to save money by cutting those coupons out of Sunday papers? Now we just go to pggoodeveryday.com, sign up for P&G's free rewards program, and get exclusive coupons.
Okay, so we can get VIP status and save money.
Exactly. We stock up on the P&G products so you, the boys, and I are good every day, just like our folks did for us.
Well, you better go visit pggoodeveryday.com right now, because you got to go buy some detergent and toothpaste and toilet paper.
Me?
Yeah, you. And with all that extra cash, I got to go buy these new sneakers.
It's okay, funny man. You got jokes. Boy, focus on these savings first.
Visit pggoodeveryday.com.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, Jason Reedy is with me, and I think we will not get to all of the things I said I was going to follow up on in a timely manner. But let's go to Jeffrey from Los Angeles, because I believe he wants to talk with you. Good morning, Jeffrey.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
Good. What's on your mind?
Okay, so I'm listening to the conversation. So let me add a little context to what I think. I can be objective because I understand the messaging that he's referring to. Okay, so if you're going to get your messaging out, the first thing you have to have is money. The way the right moves its context is that they have a lot of money and they sensationalize lies. And on the left, what they do is they analyze the truth. So somewhere in there, you have to look at the fact that what you're talking about, what's happening today, every office of any job anybody's ever had always has baggage from the previous administration. The difference is, whenever there's a left or a Democrat in office, all you do is hammer them and who their associates are. Whenever there's a right in office, they don't do that. And the context of your messaging is clearly important because you have to figure out how to get in the game. Marching all day, Black Lives Matter, that's beautiful. You're never going to get in the game like that. You have to figure out a way to raise funds, to get in there.
I feel like Black Lives Matter definitely got in the game. I mean, it changed a lot of things nationally, but I understand the argument. You're
messaging.
You're
It's the messaging.
Right.
On the left. The messaging is better on the right. That's the problem. The messaging has to change. The way it gets out there has to change. Now, I mean, it's the bottom line. The messaging is key to everything because the messaging on the left isn't good. The messaging on the right is better. Clearly.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that. I don't, not today, but over the months.
Yeah, I mean, but it's part of what he's talking about. He's hammering the people around, Heather Hunt. They don't do that on the right. When you're talking about somebody, they don't do that. They focus on that one individual. He focused on a group of individuals, which I thought was interesting because if he's really involved in this, if he really understands, then you have to figure out a way to get a seat at the table, not worry about what you can change. You have to get a seat at the table.
Do you want a seat at the table, Jason Reedy?
I absolutely don't want to see the table, and appreciate your commentary, brother. And I hear what you're saying about messaging, and so the messaging on the left isn't connecting with the people, as we saw in the presidential election and in other elections since then, or during that time. And so, no, I don't want to see the table. I don't want anything to do with the system. I'm opposed to the system, and what I'm hoping is that people that do get into office, that they can start operating differently. Like, for example, my council member is Eunice Hernandez. I live in City Council District 1, and she came in as an abolitionist, and she came in as someone that said she was going to be change how politicians operate within City Hall. But what we've seen, unfortunately, is what may have been initial votes against police money and things of that nature, which she's still doing. She's kind of unfortunately been gobbled up by the system, as a lot of, I think, progressive and more abolitionists and more radical people do as they get into the system. And so, yeah, I think staying outside of the system is the best way for me to move forward. But generally speaking, enough buying into the system. The system doesn't work for us. So why do we pour more money? Why do we pour more resources? Why do we pour more energy?
Well, like I said, if you're a person that relies on SNAP, or what we used to call food stamps, to live right now, you currently know the difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, because that program is going to be slashed mightily. If you're relying on Medicaid, like 80 million Americans do, you know the difference between Trump and Harris right now, because you're about to lose your health care, what health care you had. So that's why I say I think it's a luxury to say they're both the same. And I'm not saying that you should want a seat at the table, or that working inside the system is what Jason Reedy's portfolio is. But to me, it's a blind spot. And I think that's kind of partly what Jeffrey's saying in terms of the way we attack our own. In service of being honest and critiquing everyone the same, we tear down our own. Yeah, if you're listening, I did some little air quotes. We in service of being the same, and those folks, I'm not saying we should lie 100 times and confirm Pete Hegseth, but there has to be some middle ground.
If our politicians were more honest, were more transparent, were more willing to
Our politicians, you mean black politicians?
Yes.
And you feel that they're less honest than other politicians?
No, I think they're equally. But I'm saying, as you're put in as a black politician, meant to be striving for the needs of black people, who again are at the bottom of the system.
Of course.
And you got to do more for us. You absolutely should be doing more for us.
I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're holding our politicians and people to a standard that that you're not holding other folks to, and that may actually, to your point, not even be possible within the system that we currently have.
Yeah. But like, for example, if I can bring up another example.
Yeah. Well,
sorry,
we're right at the top of the hour, so it has to be. If you want to stay for a few minutes, you can stay a few minutes over. You can make your point when we come forward.
If that's fine.
Okay,
sure.
We'll do it real quick because I don't want to cut you off.
Okay.
All right, Jason Reedy is my guest. We'll do a little addendum at the top of our national hour when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Federal prosecutors charged Mansouri Menuchekri with sending $70,000 to aid ISIS. Arrested Wednesday, he also had an expired visa, jihadist videos, and weapons.